to silver is hard. It's getting harder. I don't see much end in sight, to be honest with you, because if anything, it's getting more challenging than it's ever been. And the demand is picking up more than it ever has. And I guess this is what we're going to have to deal with until things loosen up, if they ever do. It's maddening. It truly is. You know, we talked about how we had millions of dollars worth of metal in a Brinks truck where the employees quit in Salt Lake City before they made it up to our warehouse in North Dakota and left the truck at Brinks, Salt Lake City. I guess it had something to do with protocol related to vaccine or what have you. But these are just the things that we have to deal with these days. As I keep saying, it's like running a logistics company. Next week would be they're on a truck right now, I was told. Next week will be at the very, very longest. We'll hope to have them here. The very, very latest would be Monday, I'm expecting. But yeah, you know, you're reliant upon so many people to follow through with their obligations. It's kind of like a derivative. A derivative is only as valuable as the counterparty's ability to produce or to perform. And so when we are told by a group that has held our money for weeks that yes, it'll be on a truck, and it's not, you know, it's you just have to roll with it. I guess this is the sign of the times, and I think we'll see probably more of this. Look, getting product in regards to silver is hard. It's getting harder, and it's I don't see much end in sight, to be honest with you, because if anything, it's getting more challenging than it's ever been. And the demand is picking up more than it ever has. And I guess this is what we're going to have to deal with until things loosen up, if they ever do. I think you'll see this really as an industry-wide phenomenon. You probably already are. I don't follow the other companies that often, but I do know that it is industry-wide because I deal with the distributors. And I guess the moral of the story is the only way you get product nowadays as a company, the 4 or 5 of us that are dealing predominantly to the public in large volume, you have to buy copious amounts. You have to buy it 60, 90 days in advance. You have to be able to hedge it. And then you have to be able to run logistics on it. And you need to be able to communicate that all the way down from buying it to the end user, and then be able to monitor it the whole way through, and are reliant upon several chains of custody along the way. It's tough. It's not what it used to be. We're fortunate to have relationships that allow us to continue to do this. But if you're not in a position to, you know, spend a lot more than a lot, let's just say you have to spend a lot and you have to be able to hedge it and follow it and track it. If you're not able to do that, you're not going to have much of anything these days, because the people that would be able to buy a few thousand here and a few thousand there and a few thousand here from distributors is long gone before it gets to that point. And that's kind of what she talks about, that this would only, the people with smaller accounts wouldn't be affected. It's only the larger accounts. A quote that she said here, she says, "Here what I am thinking about is primary, the coal industry and oil and gas industry. A lot of smaller players in that industry are probably going to go bankrupt in short order. At least we want them to go bankrupt if we want climate change." She would create a national investment authority, which would then determine who got bailed out and who doesn't. And, you know, certainly doesn't sound like free market capitalism. That's for darn sure. And, you know, equally as concerning, in my opinion, is Lael Brainerd. This is another. This is the favorite of the progressive left for Fed chair. This is who AOC wants to run it. She is a full modern monetary theorist. And you know that she's going in. And the reason she's going in is because last week or 2 weeks ago, when Biden was on trip, I think it was in Scotland, he was asked by a reporter, "Who are you going to reappoint Powell? It's getting late in the hour. Normally you have a reappointment by now." And he said, "Well, not sure yet." It was on a tee there for him to say, "Of course, he's my guy." You know, he's a Trump bobo. He doesn't want to have someone who Trump appointed run the Fed, especially because you know, he's talking about tapering. In fact, they even announced tapering. And you know something? After he announced tapering, the bond market rallied by 10% in 4 days. And the reason the bond market rallied, and remember, the bond traders are the smartest traders on the planet. The reason the bond market rallied, and it should have gone the other way when they announced tapering, is because the day after he got back from his trip, he invited both Powell and Brainerd to the White House. And the bond traders, who are the smart ones, view that as Brainerd is going to be renominated, or is going to be the new Fed governor, the Fed chief, and Powell's on his way out. Well, they're not going to taper. They won't taper. Lil Brainerd will see to that. And I think this is exactly why he did not reaffirm his intention to have Powell be reaffirmed or another term. And so you put Brainerd and Omarova into office, and it's going to look very, very different to what it looks like now, what it's ever looked like. In fact, I think that is maybe the most bullish thing for equities. And it's not just gold and silver. I think you could see stocks do really well too. Any assets will do well because they're going to continue to inflate. They're going to continue to keep interest rates low. They're going to continue to stimulate. They're going modern monetary theory. And they will, I think, destroy the value of the dollar, but certainly, I think, make what we do a whole hell of a lot more attractive. Done again, and you can see this is the way the progressive left wants to take this economy, and to me it's quite concerning and quite frightening. If you're going to be in a storage account, you're crazy to have it in a pooled account, especially when you see the difference in cost between pooled and segregated. There's a big difference in cost because you get what you pay for, and I think pooled accounts are very dangerous. I would never in a million years hold my own metal in a non-segregated account, whether it's in an IRA or not. There are people who say if you don't hold it, you don't own it. Well, if you have to have it stored, it better damn well be segregated to your name, allocated to the account or the program, and segregated to you specifically. But, to your point, and again, I am not patting myself on the back, and I'm not trying to sound like, oh, I've been right. But look at the progression of everything that's been happening. We talked about this for over a year, a central bank digital currency coming so that the Fed could enact monetary policy. We've said that 100 times. We've talked about the biggest money in the world, de-dollarizing. In fact, Russia now has more gold in its reserves than they do dollars for the first time ever. They're de-dollarizing. China is accumulating massive amounts. Their people are accumulating tremendous amounts. Alistair McLeod, who you have on your show all the time, talks about their people owning 18,000 tons of gold, which is nearly two and a half times what the U.S. supposedly owns. Their imports through Hong Kong were up 60% this year. Serbia's gold holdings are at all-time highs. India is up over the last 12 months. They're up 75 tons, 11% year over year. All of the central banks I've been talking about for the past 4 years that have been gobbling up gold, this big whale on COMEX who's sitting on 40,000 December gold contracts, Palatine buying 50 million in gold. Do you not see the trend? Everything is happening the way we've talked about it happening, and it's very obvious if you take a step back and you look at what the biggest money in the world is doing. They leave crumbs for us to see what's happening. And when you see a government that is going down this path, it's very predictable. It's predictable because the minute Nancy Pelosi said she wanted a digital Fed dollar because viruses can live on currency, just take a step back and see the positioning of everyone and the steps that have been made since, or the reclassification of gold and the accumulation by the biggest money in the world and the repatriation and now it's going all the way to the family offices and the sovereign wealth funds, where one trader can hold almost $8 billion worth of gold for December delivery. I guess we'll have to see if he takes delivery. I assume he will. But I guess all I'm simply trying to say is that I've been saying this for the last 2 years. Everything that is happening is going to script. You can see it happening. And I don't take any joy in appearing to be right. All I'm simply saying is that price is a tool of misdirection. We are purposely being confused by the counterintuitive price action and the rhetoric that the mainstream gives us. But if you look at what the biggest money in the world has been doing for since 2017, it is glaringly obvious. They're all de-dollarizing. They're all getting out in front of what is coming. And someone like Omarova and Brainerd taking over the monetary fiscal policy of this country, moving us into full modern monetary theory, moving us into what is nearly a communist regime type of economy. I don't know. It's getting concerning. Really, truly is getting concerning. And this is why we own gold and silver, not to get wealthy, because it gives us a little bit of an exit from the matrix. It gives us some privacy. It gives us liquidity in an asset class that has lived through every world war, that has lived through every pandemic, German hyperinflation, Great Depression, and it's still immutable wealth. This is why we own it. And these things, these stories we talk about are only going to increase in severity. And it always mystifies me why some people don't react until they absolutely see it with their own eyes instead of trusting their gut. This is the time to do what the biggest money in the world is doing, and that is to start de-dollarizing, just like Russia is doing, because Russia is telling you, Putin is telling you by his actions, there's a black swan event coming. When for the first time ever, they own more gold than they do dollars in their foreign reserves. I'll tell you, that's not by coincidence.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.